really good bike control. All his motocross, and it's not like he's done motocross and stopped. He actually still races every single weekend that he's not racing his road race bike. He's actually doing a motocross meet, and he loves it.
He wants to do the Western Beach race again this year on October the 22nd. He finished 19th last year. That may not sound impressive, but from 1,000 starters on a 250 Suzuki, I was commentating it on site. It was a mint performance.
No, Chris rides motocross very, very, very well, and pretty much any kind of motocross. He rides modern stuff, he rides a little bit of twin shock stuff, and he's very, very quick on anything.
But Andrew Pitt's riding a commanding race here. He's just sticking right where he needs to be on the track. Here comes Walker.
Grace.
Oh, is he going to do it? It's the place to do it. He lifts Pitty up. Oh, he goes through. He squeezes through. Walker leads here at Assen. The first race of World Superbikes, and the grandstand roof lifts off. Chris Walker leads, Andrew Pitt second, Michel Fabrizio first, third place. Kawasaki, the Japanese are here from the factory in Kawasaki. They've got to be taking notice of what Walker's doing here. He's come from last to first in the space of 15 laps.
You couldn't write this for a script.
What an extraordinary day here so far at Assen, but I just don't want it to end up with the customary Chris Walker bad luck story. Please, Chris, just look after yourself out there. Andrew, look after yourself. That was a really determined
That's
move.
it. He looked, for a lap, it looks like he's just been wanting a little bit of a go at the front. And he must, to be over, he's either fed up of looking at spray in his face, or he thinks he can pull away a little bit. Otherwise, there'd be no point going past that early. I think Chris thinks he can just motor on his own and put better times in than Andrew was doing, at least.
Now he's got himself to the front. How does he set his stock? How does he set up the Josh Brooks has gone out. The reigning Australian Superbike champion goes down, and he was looking at a terrific result there. Fourth place for Bertocchi Kawasaki. So bad luck to Josh Brooks. He crashes out as well. Well, that means Fabrizio's third, Arbe's fourth, Nieto is now fifth, Max Neukirchner sixth. Here's James Toseland. He is now in 8th place behind Roberto Rolfo, ahead of Lorenzo Lanzi and Carl Muggeridge. Only just ahead of Lorenzo Lanzi because Reggio's right there with him.
And this is one of them days, Jack, when you've just got to finish. If you finish, you're going to be somewhere near.
So James Toseland, he's looking for a few points, of course, to narrow the gap on Norrie Hager after Hager's exit. But look at this, the battle on at the front. Pitt is not going to let him get away.
I almost dare watch this, honestly.
Well, we can blindfold you if you want. Any offers for the mic, boys? No, shaking of heads here. David looks keen. I think he might take over from you. He knows you're only to heavens. Anyone? Oh, look at this! Listen to the sound of the crowd here. Chris Walker once again surges past in the lead, but 159.2, a 159.5 from Pitty. He's lapping at almost the same pace. Here's Fonzi Nieto with Max Neukirchner. And I think they'd found that Neukirchner, hey, I tell you what Max is doing. This is a fine ride for Neukirchner. He's still suffering from the shoulder injury on the left side. He's not had much time on the Alstara Engineering Suzuki, and he was just hoping to get a bit of time in on track. Chris Walker getting a bit of time in on track on the PSG One Course Kawasaki.
God, is this a fairy tale or what?
Well, so far it is, but you know that Chris Walker's fairy tales have had a historical habit of turning sour on him, and at the moment Andrew Pitt is hanging in every bit as quick.
Yeah, Pitty's pretty much regrouped actually after the shock of getting past. He's actually just regrouping nicely, is Andrew.
Norrie Hager explains what happened.
Front end. I tell you what, it's nobody's fault conditions like this. Could have anybody.
That was a mint race. To have got the better of Bayliss and forced Bayliss into errors was a remarkable ride. Now Chris Walker still on it, and incidentally the rain looks as if it might have stopped outside.
Yeah, it has. You can actually tell, Jack, because there's just that not such a lying water kind of look at the track now.
And we can actually see out of the window again. So Chris Walker, conditions slightly improving. These lads, of course, went out. I was checking out the tyres before they went up on warm-up, and Maio Meregali looked at me looking at the tyres, and he said, wet. And I said, yes, Maio, I didn't really bother, need I? It was a bit obvious. So Chris Walker, of course, these lads on full wets. Chris Walker again, to rounds of applause, comes into the final chicane. He's completing 17 out of 22 laps. He's got to sustain this effort for another 5 laps.
Can you remember last time a Kawasaki won a World Superbike leg?
No. It might be going back to the days of Akira Yanagawa.
I think
Gregorio Lavilla came very close a couple of times, but I think it might be Yanagawa in perhaps 97.
Yep.
Oh dear, yeah, he's set us a task there that's going to wreck our historical records. I have, that's the best stab I can give you. I think it may have been Yanagawa in 1997.
I'm sure Yanagawa.
I wouldn't know where. Walker leads it. Oh, Harry Van Beek is liable to get... he's not disgracing himself though. Van Beek is lying in 14th place in... Oh, he's the last man on track because Josh Brooks has gone out. There's 14 riders left on track at the moment. Nakatomi 13th, Steve Martin in 12th place for FP1. Ivan Clementi 11th, 10th place Carl Muggeridge, 9th place James Toseland. But at the front, Walker leads it. This is Fabrizio in third.
Fabrizio's just about decided that a Rossum's better than pulling grass sods out your fairing for the next half an hour.
Or indeed out of your teeth. Number 96, Harry Van Beek, glances over his shoulder and he's got nothing to worry about just for a few seconds before Fabrizio comes upon him. Norick Abe there in 4th place. Marshall Garcia will be enjoying that ride. Fonzie Nieto is 5th. And Max Neukirchner in 6th.
It has, in fact, I'm not saying starting to dry out, but it is actually raining less hard because they're actually going a little bit quicker now.
Walker did a 158.4. Andrew Pitt, his fastest lap of the race, at 158.8. This is Max Neukirchner. He's caught Fonzie Nieto, or rather Nieto has gone back past Neukirchner into 5th place. A lot of mixed feelings in the paddock about the firing of Fabien Foret from that seat on the Alstar Engineering Suzuki. Some people thought it was a trifle ill-timed. Some people think it's because they needed a German star to attract the crowds to Lausitzring next week. There's all sorts of theories flying around, but they can see Norick Abe ahead of them. And that was a lap in which Walker and Pitt both identically lapped on 159.0s. A gap of 1.2 seconds between the leaders. This is the battle for 5th place on screen. The Fonz leads it. Behind him, we've got Max Neukirchner, Mad Max, Roberto Rolfo 7th, Lanzi 8th. This is one of the most bonkers races we've ever had.
Yeah. I just thought there's going to be a fair attrition rate.
I'm not happy when we're not. I must admit, you relax a bit more when we haven't got Chris Walker on screen. Yeah. But I'd rather have him there so I can see what he's up to.
Yeah, just to make sure he's still there.
At the moment we think Walker is. This is Max Neukirchner holding a tighter line than the Kawasaki as they go around that horrible long right. And then into the long hairpin left.
There he is.
Here is. And
he's not getting rid of Pitt.
He's not getting rid of Pitt, and he's got to be aware of people like Shinichi Nakatomi just coming up ahead of him, lying at the moment in 13th place for the Yamaha France team.
Move.
Nakatomi, you know, he's a 6-footer, that lad. He's a tall boy for a motorcycle road racer, and he's keeping out of the way. He's keeping safely tucked in, out of the way of Andrew Pitt, I think.
And Chris has got 3 laps.
Chris has got away.
Just 3 laps he's got.
Oh, Rachel, wife-to-be. She's just praying.
Well, I tell you what, he'll be putting her housekeeping up this week if he wins this, I'll tell you.
And Andrew Pitt needs a break here from Shinichi Nakatomi. He's not got it just now. Walker braking hard into the final chicane.
Even the Brits in the grandstand now dare clap just in case.
No, they daren't. Look, there's some of them are waving their arms, but a lot of them are just gritting their teeth like we are. So Walker goes past. He's completed 19 laps out of 22. Our caption is a little bit misleading because the caption on screen
is what they're on.
Indicates he's entering his 20th lap.
Yep.
Fabrizio snaking his way down. He's ridden a calm, cool race.
Yep.
Tell you what, when you consider that his mentor Frankie Killy binned it early on, I think really it's Frankie should be the protege, really. So Michel Fabrizio looking impressive. He's in 3rd place. Norick Abe goes past us 4th. Nieto 5th. Neukirchner 6th. Chris Walker 158.498 seconds on that lap. He now has a gap of 2 seconds over Andrew Pitt, but of course we can't be sure that'll stay that way as the ace of clubs goes flying past. That's Michel Fabrizio. I must ask him why he's got that on his helmet. Toseland 9th, Muggeridge 10th. I'm fascinated by the race that James Toseland has ridden. Has he had a problem, or did he just get uncomfortable in the heavy rain and have to regroup?
Don't know, this must be going to be Arbe's best ever result, eh?
He's had 4th places before in the dry at Valencia. He particularly likes. Andrew Pitt in 2nd place for Maio Marigali's Yamaha Italia team, and that'll probably please Signor Conzoni as well, who was looking very glum about the weather when we were waiting.
He'll be looking very glum about Noriyuki Haga throwing away just about any chance he has of winning the World Championship this year.
You're right, because Norrie, that really was a bit of a nugget for Norrie Haga.
Yeah.
You could call it a nugget in these conditions. Chris Walker then, when he completes this lap, he'll have 2 laps left. He's breaking into the final chicane once again, now on the PSG1 course, Kawasaki. Wow, this could make up for a few of those bitter disappointments that his career has been plagued with. 4 times runner-up in the British Superbike Championship, on the last occasion in Y2K, of course, when his Suzuki expired in the final race of the series. He went into the Donington Park round 21 points ahead of Neil Hodgson. He came out of it 2nd in the championship.
Yeah, there's not many times in road racing where there's grown men sat in the stands crying, and that was one of them.
So Chris Walker, can the cheerful little bloke actually survive this last lap and a half? Not only survive this last lap and 3/4, but ahead of
He's got a bit of
Andrew
time
Pitt.
now. For me, Pitt's just about giving best here. Just about thinking that 2nd's better than ended up on his backside. I think Chris...
This is the main straight. Chris Walker has never done well here. He's never really had much time. He says, whenever I come to Holland, he said, I've been to Holland about 5 times to race here at Assen. I've ended up arrested, in jail, in hospital twice, and then I got pulled over for speeding. He said I was only doing 50 miles an hour over the speed limit for a camper.
I was just going to say he wants to be not going down those blooming grubby side streets.
But listen, what happened was the cop who stopped him earlier this week said, oh, you are lucky, Mr. Walker. I like Superbike. I'm going to let you go. But he said, make sure you produce a result at the weekend.
Well, he's doing that for him.
What could be better?
Yeah.
So there's going to be some policeman somewhere in the Netherlands watching this, I hope.
Who's going to be a right stalker fan from now on.
Well done, son. Glad I let you off. Glad I didn't, because he said I could confiscate your motorhome. I could take it off you now and send you off walking.
Come on, Chris.
Walker leads it. I'll repeat that for you guys back home, just in case you're as incredulous as we are. Chris Walker, who was last as they came out of the first turn by the proverbial country mile, is about to enter the final lap of 22 in the lead here at Assen in round 9 of World Superbikes.
I can hardly watch.
You're going to have to watch it for at least another lap. Well, let's just... I've almost got my fingers crossed, Sam Corsa
Another
style.
second that lap. He's got 4 seconds. He needs to know how far he's in front. He needs to have a look round. He needs to go into Struben and have a look sideways and just see that he's got, best part 5 seconds.
Surely, if he's riding comfortably,
he wants to keep going at that pace. Yeah, well, you know.
He's doing a 1:59. Pitty did a 1:59.9. Fabrizio 2 minutes 2.8. Norik Abe hasn't gone past yet.
And I do think he's taking it a little bit steady. He looked very steady getting the throttle open coming out of Struben. He knows.
Norik Abe's gone past with Fonzie Nieto and Max Neukirchner right with him. There's a huge battle going on for 4th place because Norik Abe's... Well, I don't know what happened there. Nieto set his fastest lap of the race, so too has Neukirchner, and they've just realised that Abe's there for the taking. So that's a battle going on. Rolfo, Lanzi, Muggeridge and Toseland go past almost together. And Muggers has got past Toseland into 9th place. This is the battle for 4th place. Norik Abe on the Yamaha France R1 suddenly has Fonzie Nieto and
Never
Max
mind that.
Neukirchner for company.
Where's Cinderella back at the front?
Oh, God. Chris, that's the new nickname then? Chris Cinderella Walker. He leads us at the moment.
Here comes
Fonzie
Nieto the inside of Abe. Oh, run wide.
What's a daisy?
Sorry.
Oh, and that's let Norik Abe well off the hook on the final lap.
Come on, come on.
Meanwhile, at the front, please, Mr. Cameraman, I know that you don't much care for Brits, Mr. Director, but we want to see Christopher John Walker. We've got to see him. Come on. Lorenzo Lanzi has got past Roberto Rolfo. His team are getting ready. They're hanging over the wire fence. What on earth are we watching this for? Here he is. He's coming through the final chicane now. Chris Walker takes victory in the first race here at Assen World Superbikes for the PSG1 Course Kawasaki team, having started off last after being pushed into the gravel in the first turn. Finally, we get a fairy tale for Chris Walker, the Nottinghamshireman, who... I can hardly believe this.
His team can hardly believe it.
Oh, Reggie's in tears, bless her. That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. The 33-year-old finally gets himself a winner by Fonzie.
This is into the last chicane.
Fonzie tries it again. Can he hold it this time?
Yep.
He spits flame into the Japanese face, and Fonzie Nieto makes it a 1-4 for PSG1 Course Kawasaki with... So Chris Walker takes a remarkable, unlikely, amazing victory here at Assen for the PSG1 Course Kawasaki team. He said, well, I don't particularly like the rain, but I know how well I can do in it.
And he was right.
He was truly right. And you know, I'm glad that we didn't get that flight back tonight, because we can have a beer with him tonight.
Yeah, we can.
Or a few.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, any team would be fatheads not to consider him for 2007, I'd say. So Walker, Pitt, Fabrizio, the men on the rostrum, Fonzie Nieto, Norik Arbe, Max Neukirchner, Lorenzo Landi, Roberto Rolfo. Great rides by all those guys, because anyone who stayed upright and raced has really
I'd tell you what,
their worth.
Honestly, I mean, I've ridden in them conditions loads, and to have a race where good men like that are crashing, you want a medal just for finishing.
And Vito Iannuzzo gets classed as a finisher, 5 laps down. So Muggers, Tosland 10th, Clementi, Martin, Nakatomi, Van Beek and Iannuzzo. Chris Walker rolling back any minute now into the winner's enclosure to score his first World Superbike victory and Kawasaki's first win, we reckon, for about 9 years. Guido, his team boss, gives him a hug.
It's quite emotional, this, Jack.
I can't speak. I think I'll let the scenes speak for themselves. 8th in the championship with Lorenzo Lanzi. He'll certainly have moved up. He's still 8th, but he's only 4 points now behind Yukio Kageyama. Bayliss, of course, retains that 77-point advantage that may have been reduced to 52. James Torsland